Hey YouTube, this is Jaden Storm coming at you from Team Shadow Strike with another deck profile. I'm sorry guys, this will be my 5th one I've recorded straight. Not that I'm complaining, I'm really glad to have all these decks now. I've been looking forward to having them and playing them and showing them to you guys and talking to you guys about them. A lot of good fun decks now, and one of these specifically we've been waiting, I don't know, 3 fucking years to wait. I know that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but we waited a long time for this one. When this clan was first introduced to us, there was a grand total of 4 cards for the clan. There was a grade 0, a grade 1, a grade 2, and a grade 3. And if you know anything about Vanguard, then you should know exactly what I'm talking about. I am talking about the Nubatama clan, the Ninja clan. And it was finally able to be played as its own deck, because we saw before set 13 came out and it gave it a complete archetype. And all the cards that made it playable to be played as a deck. You had to mix it with one of the other red clans. 9 times out of 10, it was mixed with Kagero, and people kind of made it as kind of like a trollish deck. But now it is a deck on its own, and it is kind of trollish, but it is a lot of fun. It is an extremely heavy control deck that is very fun to play. It is very, very cheap to build, and it is a pretty good matchup against all the other things out there. So if you're looking for a cheap deck, this deck's pretty cheap to build. You could probably build this deck for about $80. So if you're looking for a good deck and having a lot of fun with, you can definitely build Nubatama now. And it is a lot of fun. So I'm going to show you my deck profile of it. There will be a couple of matches that I will have uploaded to it. Actually, just one game. I'm sorry. There's one game that I've uploaded showing it off, and it is very scary how good this deck is and all the cards that it has advantage to. So let's jump into it, and I will explain everything. So here we go, guys. For my starter, I am playing Stealth Beast Kuroko. Actually, I think this is the only starter that you can play. Its ability is Forerunner, so it slides out when a Grade 1 Nubatama rides it. His ability is Soul Blast 1. When an attack hits a Vanguard during a battle that this unit boosted, if you have a Nubatama Vanguard, you may pay the cost, which is Soul Blast that 1 card. If you do, choose up to 2 cards from your opponent's bind zone and retire them. With this deck, you're going to be binding cards out of their hand and their field. So this allows you to apply so much pressure that it hits their Vanguard. You're going to get to Soul Blast 1, and you get to retire up to 2 cards from that bind zone. So that is an extreme plus for you. And then, to make matters worse, guys, I play 2. That's right, I play 2 of this. One is my starter, and I play a second one in the deck, because if you can get 2 of these on the field, one behind your Vanguard and one behind a rear guard, all this card does is apply pressure, because every time you bind a card, your opponent is going to go, oh no, I have 5 cards binded, and if that attack hits, he gets to Soul Blast 1, and he gets to retire any 2 of them, and I won't get them back. So this card is so good. I play 2. One for my starter. The other one, if I don't draw it, and I never choose to play it, it's a 10k shield. So, and then, unfortunately, since this is a new clan, you must play Rainbow Trigger. But that does really not hurt this deck, so we play 4 Critical Trigger, 4 Draw Trigger, 4 Stand Trigger. The Stand Trigger has the ability to move it into the soul and give plus 3,000 to a Nubatama rear guard, so it helps you build that soul that you can use to abuse with this card. And then, of course, we play our 4 Heal Triggers. So Rainbow Trigger in this deck. Grade 1s. We played 4 copies of Stealth Beast Mijigakur, one of the coolest looking perfect guards that there is. I just love that frickin' art. If my friends know that I really, really like wolves, and that wolf with that torn red cape and that black and red sword just looks so badass. For my next Grade 1, I play 4 copies of the original Grade 1 Nubatama card, Stealth Dragon Dreadmaster. This card, guys, now finally has a deck that it can be in and does not have to be boosting one of the other few Nubatama cards that it could. This card is amazing, guys. Let me read this to you. When an attack hits during a battle that this unit boosted a Nubatama unit, if the number of cards in your hand is less than your opponent, you may pay the cost, which is Counterblast 1. If you do, your opponent chooses a card from his or her hand and discards it. Guys, that means Say you have 4 cards and your opponent has 5. If your attack hits, and it doesn't specify, it can hit a rear guard or a vanguard. If it hits, you can counterblast one and force them to discard a card out of their hand. This builds up to what the deck does best at. It eats away at the hand and the resources. Play 4 of this card. It is a harder card to find, guys. I only had 3 in my possession, and I was able to find someone who traded me a 4th. You definitely want to play 4 of this card. It is too good not to. Then for the rest of my grade 1s, I play 3 copies, of Stealth Rogue of the Night, Sakahura Fukahubi. Wow, some of these names. I don't know if I said that right, but this is the 8K vanilla, so it's just a good solid booster. And then for my last grade 1 is I play 3 copies of Tempest Stealth Road Fuki. So that's what it looks like. His ability is Counterblast 1 and put this unit into your soul. If you have a Nubatama Vanguard and the number of cards in your opponent hand is 3 or less, if you pay the cost, if you do, choose a card at random from your opponent's hand and bind it face down. And at the end of that turn, your opponent puts that card bound by this effect into his or her hand. So you can use this to set up for possibly using one of your 2 Karuko's effect and retire some of their bind cards and minus them. So that's the end of the grade 1s. Let's jump into the grade 2s. We play 4 copies of Stealth Beast Tamahagani. It's a bear with Wolverine claws. How badass is that? His ability is, when this unit is placed on Vanguard or Rear Guard, if you have a Nubatama Vanguard, choose one of your opponent's Rear Guards and bind it face up. At the end of that turn, your opponent puts that card bound by this card's effect into his or her hand. So again, it helps bind more cards and set up for Karuko's effect. So it's just a really, really good card. So you can bind that card that you don't want them to have. Maybe it's that booster, maybe it's their starter, maybe it's that 12k attacker, and then try and retire it. For my next grade 2 is I play 4 copies of the original Nubatama grade 2, and that is 4 copies of Stealth Beast Chigasumi. It is the closest thing to a 12k attacker that we have. His ability is when this unit attacks, whether it's Vanguard or Rear Guard, if the number of cards in your hand is greater than your opponent's, this unit gets plus 3,000 power, so he swings for 11. I like this card a lot. One thing you'll notice when you see the other grade 2 is I do not play the 10k vanilla. I decided to play this over it because I like getting bigger numbers, and guys, it may only be 8k, but it is really good when you're trying to push for those big numbers and just finish the game. And plus, if you swing for 11 and you hit him with a stand trigger, he stands back up. Now he's 16, so it is a very good card. Out of the 4 original Nubatama cards, I play 4 the grade 1 and 4 the grade 2. And for the final grade 2 is I play 3 copies of Stealth Dragon Kokujio. This card has a very interesting ability. His ability is on the Rear Guard. And it's during your turn when your opponent's card is placed into his or her bind zone. If you have a Nubatama Vanguard, this unit receives plus 2,000 power. And it's a stacked effect. So if you are to bind multiple cards in that turn, he gains plus 2 for every card that is binded. Very, very good. And then for the grade 3s, I play 4 copies of Shura Stealth Dragon Kujikira Kongo. It is the Nubatama Break Ride in a badass looking art. His ability is Limit Break. When a Nubatama rides this unit, choose your Vanguard, and until the end of that turn, that unit receives plus 10,000 power. Your opponent chooses 1 card from his or her hand and discards it. Your opponent chooses 1 card from his or her hand and binds it face down. And at the end of that turn, your opponent puts that card bound by this effect into his or her hand. So not only are you going to gain plus 10,000 power, it binds a card from your opponent. It forces your opponent to discard, and you bind a card from their hand. So you're minus twoing. Sorry guys, I dropped a card. You're making their hand go -2. So that is very, very good. And then his second ability is when this unit attacks, if the number of cards in your opponent's hand when this unit attacks, if the number of cards in your opponent's hand is 3 or less, this unit receives plus 2,000 power. So it makes him a 13k attacker. So very, very awesome break ride. And then for the final grade 3, I only play 3 copies because that's all I have. If I do get a 4th, I'll probably put in the 4th and just drop a grade 1. His ability is... I didn't even show you what the card is. 3 copies of Shura Stealth Dragon Kubiki Kongo. Kubiki combo? Kabuki Kongo. Kabuki Kongo. His ability is Limit Break. Counterblast 1. When this unit attacks Vanguard, you may pay the cost. If you do, bind all of your opponent's rear guards face up. If the number of cards in your opponent's bind zone is 3 or more, this unit gets plus 10,000 power until the end of battle. And at the end of that turn, your opponent puts those cards bound by this card's effect back into his or her hand. And then his other Vanguard's ability is you may counterblast 1 to give him plus 2k power. So the trick is, you break ride this on top of this, he'll go to 21. Then when he attacks, you counterblast 1, and he will gain, if you bind up to 3 more cards, or you already have 3 cards in their bind zone, he gets another plus 10, so he'll be 31. So this can get really, really big. And also, if you are starting to shrink their hand size down, your Chigasumis will be at 11, and if you have any of these on the field, they're going to get plus 2,000 power for every card that was binded when they were on the field. So you're going to push a lot of big numbers. And remember, guys, you play in this deck, you must play stand triggers. So you'll have those stand triggers to say, if you attack with him and he, say, you binded 4 cards, he's going to gain 8,000 power. He's 17,000 power. So if you attack with him and he had a boost for, say, 8, that's 25,000. Say you hit a stand trigger, you stand him back up, and he gets another 5,000. Now he's 22. So, I mean, so many good things that you can do with this deck. It is so much fun to play. It is an extremely heavy control deck, so if you're a control player like me, you will fall in love with it. I am glad to finally own a Nubatama deck. I'm glad the archetype finally got finished. I was wondering if it ever would get finished. I was scared that when Murakumo was announced that it was going to be the replacement for Nubatama. Thank God that it wasn't, because in my opinion, Nubatama is miles ahead of Murakumo. Give me a Nubatama deck over any Murakumo deck any day. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed my Nubatama Ninja deck profile. So in the comment section below, feel free to tell me what you think of the deck. Do you like it? Do you hate it? And if you hate it, explain to me why, because I don't think I'd like going against it, just for the simple fact being that they're continuing to bind my cards. So if you guys enjoyed the video, please in the comment section below tell me that you enjoyed it, or if you didn't, tell me something that you wish I had done that would have made you enjoy it. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do so for deck profiles, discussions, trade binders, all kinds of fun stuff, random rants. I do all kinds of good things. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. We do contests regularly. I will be doing a box giveaway contest when I reach 200 subscribers. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. Please comment, rate, subscribe, thumbs up the video for me, and I will see you later.